All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Market Close. We are live, folks. It is Wednesday, January 21st. And about 5 days ago, President Trump announced 10% tariffs on multiple European countries unless he got Denmark, or unless he got Greenland, which he would have to negotiate through Denmark in order to get. And 5 days later, we got the taco. We've got the taco. I don't care what meat is on it. I don't care what vegetables are on it, what sauce is on it. We have got the taco. It officially has been served as of last hour. Here is what Mr. Trump had to say. Based upon a very productive meeting that I've had with Secretary General of NATO, we have formed the framework of a future deal with respect to Greenland and, in fact, the entire Arctic region. This solution, if consummated, will be a great one for the United States of America and all NATO nations. Based upon this understanding, I will not be imposing the tariffs that were scheduled to go in effect on February 1st. That is why we have had the negative red days we've seen on the S&P 500, 2% yesterday, the worst day since October 10th. It was because of that decision, which I guess lasted for 5 days. Additional discussions are being held concerning the Golden Dome as it pertains to Greenland. Further information will be made available as discussions progress. Now, there's a lot of variables to this and kind of how this is playing out. It's not necessarily like the most, I guess, direct taco, because there is a stipulation here, which is that there is a framework for a deal that has already been made. I don't know what the framework of that deal looks like. I don't know if that framework is even going to be possible to be consummated with the concept of getting Greenland, Ethereum right there at 3,000, Bitcoin at 90,000. Everything pretty much flipped green. It's not crazy green, but we did flip green. The S&P 500 right there. Up, actually, S&P's up 1%. I mean, it was almost down 0.5% on the day. Now we're at 685, so it's not too bad. But the kind of core argument, which I think is what we got today from the taco, which was the imposing of the tariffs on Greenland. 9 days from now, that's gone. At least per Trump, that's not going to happen anymore. And so I think this is a good thing. It's hard to see how this would necessarily be bearish. The Qs are up 1.3. The S&P 500 is getting back pretty much not everything that it lost yesterday, but a good chunk of it. We got to 688 at one point. We were at 679 or 675 last night. Meta, 603 to 614. That is green. Palantir still red on the day. Robinhood a little green. Nebius went from 96 to 98. Again, not a crazy move higher. It's not like sort of the V shape that we had back in April when Trump said it's time to buy, but it's also not a bloodbath like it was turning into. I mean, NVIDIA was getting ready to go below 180 at one point during the day. And as you can see right there, it went to 183, then came all the way. No, it did go. It went to 179.30. And then at around 2:30, that Trump tweet came out and boom, we are up there. Yeah, Nebius was 93. That's now up there a little bit as well. I have no idea what the hell happened with AMD today. Obviously, I missed the market open. I was not able to keep up with too much of the news. So I don't know why AMD is up, but 7% in a day on AMD. That's not a small move. That's now a $406 billion company. AMD very close to its all-time high of 267. So very nice to see that momentum on AMD. Oracle still down 3% of the day, 173. That's actually pretty bad for Oracle. It was at 170, so I got a little bit of a rebound, but that's below that 185 level. D-Wave still down 4%, Bloom Energy down 1%. So some of your small caps that are high beta still took a hit. You got Micron at 388, got to 394 at one point. Some of them are going up. IWM small caps, one of the best days it's had all year. That's up 1.8%. Amcor, absolutely incredible day, 53.24. That's up 9%. Intel, I hate looking at this stock, but nonetheless, we have to look at it. $54. Why not? That's up 11.36%. But you got a lot of names that ended up staying flat. Like Iren and Rocket Lab. Rocket Lab's been on a massive tear. Iren right there down 1.3%, but it did get below 50 at one point. So now at 53 is not too bad. Rocket Lab was 98 a couple days ago, 92 yesterday. Now it's at 87. It hit 82 this morning. So you got a lot of names that rebounded, even if they have not fully recovered their highs over the past couple of days. But it's all based on the taco that we ended up getting. VG up 7%, S&P 500 up 1%, SMH, semiconductor ETF, up 2.3%. No, I don't have your UPS packages. You guys are ridiculous, bro. Do I really look like a UPS driver? That's like 17 comments saying the same. Goodness gracious. But if I did deliver packages, I would hopefully be able to deliver a taco. Dude, we got the taco. Like we really got the, like, Like, this is incredible. I was on the phone with someone an hour ago, and I'm just looking at Robinhood, and it flips, and I'm like, what happened? Like, what? Like, obviously, I saw Tesla. Tesla was the first one that I saw flip heavy, like 427 to 435. And the first thing I did was check now Tesla 431. So it's fading a little bit, but still, at least it's not as bad as it was in the morning. And then the first thing I did was check Truth Social, and boom. I mean, I caught the tweet 2 minutes after he posted it. So it was very quick. And I can't believe it happened this quickly. I cannot believe it happened this quickly. King of Queens, you guys are a bit ridiculous. Your packages are late as hell. Do I really look like a UPS? I mean, it kind of does. This was my outfit today because I had to go do something with our boy Stevie Steve. I think you guys are going to enjoy what we did. You guys will see it in a couple weeks. I think you guys will enjoy it. It was fun. It was fun. But yeah, I mean, what is everyone's reaction? Did you think we would get the taco this quickly? Like, I really thought this would last at least a couple more days before. I mean, like, this is like 3 days? Really? 3 days? Here's Trump talking about the framework of the Greenland deal. I did not expect this to happen today. I'm really happy it did, though, because things were starting to get a little bloody, and it seems high beta rally momentum might have a chance to play out. Dude, now we have to buy UPS stock. Oh, you guys freaking spamming this thing.
President, it's great to see you. Thanks for the time in the world and what's happened the 5 years.
Thank you very much. It's been a great ride. And this took place over 1 year. We just celebrated.
But also very compelling in the case you made about Greenland. So I was going to ask you, did you see any of your European cohorts nodding? But I guess I don't have to ask that now because of the news that it breaks very quickly. Can you go into what you just talked about with the NATO meeting?
Well, we have a concept of a deal. I think it's going to be a very good deal for the United States, also for them. And we're going to work together on something having to do with the Arctic as a whole, but also Greenland. And it has to do with the security, great security, strong security, and other. There's a lot about Greenland because we need it for security. And now we're going to have even better security, I think, than I would have had before.
And I know how you operate. I know that you didn't take force off of the table, but all along, I think if there was going to be a war, it was going to be a trade war. Is that fair to say?
I think so, yeah. I don't see us fighting with Denmark,
NATO.
Fighting with,
you've done so much to try to strengthen NATO. I'm sure you don't want to see the dissolution of something.
I'm proud of NATO from the standpoint. Look, I brought them up from 2%.
I mean, you're seeing Trump take a different tone now that there's quote unquote a concept of a deal. On the weekend, he was saying, do we even need NATO? And now he's saying, well, you know, I'm proud of NATO and yada, yada. I mean, like, we went through this last year. We all went through this last year. Now, last year, it took 2 months for us to get the taco. This time it took 5 days. It feels like 2 days. But I mean, we went through this where he threatened something super irrational. And then it's like, we kind of reached some version of a deal. And then the markets are like, okay, cool. I guess we don't have anything to worry about.
To 5% of GDP. They're paying a lot of money. They pay us a lot of money because they buy missiles and they buy a lot of things. Unfortunately, Obama gave them $350 billion for Ukraine, which was just terrible. I mean, the whole thing was terrible. It should have never happened. That's a war that should have never happened. But yeah, they paid a lot of money. And I don't know if you know, but I signed a rare earth deal with Ukraine to probably get most of that back, maybe more back than we haven't. But what they did, they were just giving out money like cookies to a child.
I know how much you've done today, so I'm going to bounce from thing on February 1st.
No, we took that off because it looks like we have pretty much a concept of a deal.
A deal of ownership, a deal?
Well, it's a little bit complex, but we'll explain it down the line. But the Secretary General of NATO and I and some other people were talking, and it's the kind of a deal that I wanted to be able to make.
Where does Denmark, did they weigh in on what they want, what they would agree to?
Well, I assume they did because he very much represents, he's a strong leader. Mark, Mark Rutte. And I assume he's been speaking to them. He's been speaking to all of them.
Are mineral rights involved? Is ownership involved? Did the Golden Dome sway people?
I don't want to say yet, but
the Golden Dome was very compelling today when you talked about that.
Yeah, the Golden Dome, and they're going to be involved in the Golden Dome, and they're going to be involved in mineral rights, and so are we.
So there's not any real details that Trump is putting out here. And that's a little confusing, right? Because if he says we've reached a framework of a deal, then one could argue that something important has been agreed to by Denmark and the other NATO allies. Now, maybe there is a framework to a deal, but he doesn't want to tell us yet because he's trying to keep it a secret until they have to officially unveil it. Maybe there's nothing. There's no framework of a deal. Maybe it's like a very basic handshake agreement of, hey, you guys can have access to more minerals in Greenland. But the broader thing is, I don't think Trump necessarily wanted the land itself. I think he wanted what was there, which was the rare earth minerals. And if there is some level of a negotiation in which Denmark and the Danes are open to allowing that to be the case, then maybe that's what's playing out. Even if they don't literally get ownership over the sovereign territory, but they have the ability to access parts that are located within the sovereign territory, which are those rare earth minerals. And if that's the case, then maybe that's a win for Trump. I don't know what we are giving up in order to get that. BMNR right there, that's up 3.6. The Qs are up 1.3. So a lot of this stuff is very vague. Even Netflix fell to 81 today. Now that stock's at 85. That one had not the best earnings, not horrible earnings, but not the best earnings. And that one got hit. The stock would not be at $85 unless it was for this Trump tweet that just came out. And so you're seeing a lot of stocks kind of recover right here. Amit, do you deliver packages to Greenland? I feel like this is a new inside joke that you guys have come up with. And now I have to wear this every day. I mean, it makes my life easy. I don't have to think about what I have to wear every day. Now I feel like this is my outfit every day. I'm delivering the news to everybody. And we have to go long UPS just for the hell of it. UPS up 1.7%. I might legit buy this stock now. Like this is how you guys are convincing me. Tesla right there, 430.7. So what are we thinking? I didn't expect it today. I didn't expect it today. TE had a short report. I did not look at that. That was down 5.9%. Grab really didn't get any of the benefit from this massive move. This one was great yesterday when everything was red. Everything was green, and now this is red. 440, that's down 2.3. SoFi barely making a move. Robinhood's been pretty much flat all day. You would think Robinhood would get a move. Look at Robinhood. It's up 10 cents on the day. Like it's a different Robinhood that we are dealing with in 2026, where the market is not fully pricing in the level of high beta action. But it's just not getting that momentum, obviously, probably because of crypto as well. Ethereum right there, 3,000, Bitcoin at 90,000. ASTS took a nasty 10% hit today. That one's still down 8%, recovered a little bit from 96, but down from 120, where it was at a while ago. And then AMD, if someone has the headline on AMD, let me know. I still have not seen the headline. I don't know if it was an upgrade or something. We got a bunch of different headlines after the bell that we'll look at. But I did not see what happened with AMD today. This was not on my bingo card. I really didn't expect this to happen today. Yeah, Reddit dumped. I don't know what happened with Reddit. See, you miss one morning, and I feel like I don't know anything. I don't like missing the show. I know you guys hate it. I hate it as well. There was so much content this morning from Davos too. I mean, there's a lot of things to talk about. The Anthropic CEO took some heavy shots at OpenAI. He basically said everything they're doing is stupid. I don't know why they're working on consumers and Sora. They're burning money. Like, he didn't say it that way, but he basically said it that way. And so there's a lot of stuff to dive into in terms of all these interviews. But I did not expect the taco. I did not expect it. AMD got another price target upgrade. Wow, 8% on another price. They got 4 price target upgrades in the past week or 2 weeks. And I guess that's what the street is starting to like here. All right, well, we've got a lot of headlines to dive into. 4 p.m. Wednesday, January 21st. We got the taco. Thank you, everybody, for being here. The stock market is now closed. We are done for the day. We have no earnings after the bell. So we're not going to, we have some earnings from the morning that we'll talk about, but we don't have any crazy earnings after the bell. So we're going to get into everything that's happened throughout the day. But man, I did not expect the taco, but we got it. S&P 500 closes up 1.2% on the day. OSS, not a bad day either. 1167, that was up 8.6%. Tessie up about 2.9. Iran was down 1.4. Rocket Lab was down 1.5. Again, a lot of these names would have been down a lot more had it not been for that tweet. from Trump about an hour ago, but those names have started to somewhat recover. Intel, big day, 11.72%. Same thing for Amcor. The onshoring trade continues to be very strong for these companies. Google right there, that was up 2% of the day. AppLovin fell 5%. I didn't look at AppLovin all day. The short report continues to be an issue for them. AppLovin was down right here, 5.8%. CRM actually was up a little bit. Shopify, wow, Shopee took a 4% hit. I haven't seen, when was the last time it was $138? Last time we saw 138 was August 5th, right before earnings, and it jumped up to 150. Wow, it's been a while since we've seen Shopify at 138. Oracle right there, 173. IWM massively outperformed the S&P 500 this year, 1.98%, 2% on the Russell. The Russell has outperformed the S&P 500 10 out of the last 12 sessions. I don't know if that's sustainable, but if it is, then this is going to be the year of small caps, not the Max 7. SanDisk, 10.86%. It's up another 0.5% after hours. The memory stocks once again continue to move higher. Micron up 6%, up another 0.5% after hours. Micron got a 450 upgrade, I think, by JP Morgan yesterday, or this morning maybe it was, which is why that name continues to be in favor. Rubrik, another software name, that was down 1%. Zeta, I think, held on to the 20s, 20.2 or something, 20.4. A little bit of a boost towards the end of the day. Verizon was up a little bit on the day. HIMS, wow, 5% down on HIMS. Not sure why that happened. Natural gas futures were up 30%. Also, silver took an ugly dip today. VG crossed $9. Okay, 6.5%. VG doing great. Gold also, I'm surprised silver didn't move with gold today. Gold is at 4,800. It looks like gold is going to go to 5,000. It was up another 1.26%. The market cap is well over 30 trillion. Silver took a nasty 2% dip. At one point, it got all the way to below 90. Now it's at 92. Copper as well was up a little bit on the day, but gold, massive, massive day for gold. The 10-year, did we get any? Not really any progress. 4.251. You would think this would go a little lower after Trump said the Greenland tariffs were off, which again begs the question, what is the deal that we got from Denmark or from NATO allies in order for him to not impose the tariffs? Because basically he's admitting, I don't need to acquire Greenland if there's a deal or a quote unquote concept of a deal, which means I don't need to impose the tariffs. Again, the threat lasted literally 5 days. But what is the deal? And I don't think we fully have the analysis on what this deal will look like. Nebius, this one also ended just below 100. Nebius right there, 98.87, up a little bit after hours. That's what we got. That is what we've got for the day. Reddit also took a bit of a hit. We'll get through a bunch of these headlines as we get to the close. Reddit down 7% today. Again, Reddit, when I did my deep dive, love this company, love the growth, hate the valuation. Valuation is not disgusting, but valuation risk to reward, at 230, 250, you're just paying a lot for something that might not deliver, even if they do deliver. I would know about deliveries given the new title of the job that I have. But yeah, Reddit took a hit today. We'll see what happened with Reddit down 7%. All right. The top button is what makes it hilarious. Dude, if you've been part of the channel for a long time, I always button my button ups to the top. It's kind of stupid, but I honestly have been doing this since I was like a debate nerd in high school with no tie. I don't know why I like the top button. It's like really dumb and like no one does it. And everyone in like across my life has been like, why are you buttoning up to the top? And I'm like, I don't know. I just like it buttoned to the top. It's weird, but that's what I do. And yes, I can't say button. I can't even say the word. Like I say button. I don't know why. You guys are finding all these weird quirks about me. I don't know what to tell you guys. But that's who I am. My 7-year-old does that. Okay, that's incredible. That makes me feel amazing. All right, so let's get into a bunch of these different headlines. Had a lot of stuff happen today. I was in the Uber this morning listening to Trump talk at the World Economic Forum, and he was basically bragging about everything that America has done. So markets didn't really move too crazily off that, but this was the news that we just got after hours where the markets actually react a little bit more. Let's get that specific update on that tweet in particular around no tariffs, and then we'll get into all the different headlines we had this morning. And we'll talk about some more macro stuff in terms of what's playing out. Let me know in the chat. Did you buy anything, sell anything? Where were you when you saw the news on the taco? And did you immediately rush to buy, sell, get out of your covered calls, get out of your sold puts. Like, let me know what people did immediately when they got that news.
Art of backing off the threat, Scott. What we're seeing from the president's Truth Social post is a further de-escalatory signal. And I want to call your attention to two words in the president's post. He says, "We have formed the framework of a future deal with respect to Greenland." I would just circle the words framework and future there and say there's some questions that we now need the answers to in terms of exactly what is this deal with respect to Greenland. Does it imply some sort of U.S. ownership, some sort of U.S. occupation or participation in the governance of Greenland? What exactly is that? And our Joe Kernan will have the chance to ask the president for any specifics on that. But also importantly for markets, Scott, as you know, and you just said, the president says, "I will not be imposing the tariffs that were scheduled to go into effect on February 1st. So that a relief to financial markets watching this tariff escalation between the United States and NATO countries.
Yep, there's no doubt about that. The interview, as you said, moments away between Joe Kernan and the president. You'll see it. Eamon, we'll talk to you on the other side of that for more.
That was the tweet. And immediately, markets fundamentally shifted. Now, again, it wasn't a crazy V shape. Where did NVIDIA end on the day? NVIDIA, I think, ended at 184, 183. So NVIDIA, it gapped up to 185, was not able to fully hold on to that level. But overall, the market obviously liked what it saw. And after hours, you're seeing some more movement as the S&P 500 right there up a little bit, 685, 68. Which is what we got. Yeah, 700 billion was added to the stock market today. We lost 1.2 trillion. So yesterday. So yesterday we lost 1.2 trillion. Today we added a decent chunk of that back. Now, here's the question, and this is what I'll put in the chat before we get into more of this macro stuff. Do you trust this? I mean, do you feel this is a little bit of a bull trap? Do you think the markets were going to go down regardless of this Greenland thing? I mean, you have a lot of people believing that markets needed a breather. And the Greenland thing was a catalyst. Now that the Greenland thing is maybe over, do markets just keep going up the way they were for the first 2 weeks of January? Or is this a head fake before we take another leg down? So the question is, do you trust the taco? Very simply put, would you buy into this because we're going up? Or would you kind of stay put and or sell because you don't fully trust it? 685.33 right there on the S&P. My opinion, and this is what I talked about in the daily recap yesterday, I have 3 reasons for why you wouldn't sell regardless of this Greenland thing. Number 1 is that Trump still cares about the economy and the midterms, and there's a bunch of clips that we'll talk about where he talks about the stock market. Number 2 is that earnings are still pretty good. We'll talk about the companies that had earnings this morning. And then number 3 was the Fed ultimately is still going to be easing at the end of the day. And even if they don't ease, you're still going to be getting pretty hot GDP, which is good for earnings. So, and the labor market has been relatively stable. There's no sign of recession from the labor market yet. So when you put all 3 of those things together, it's really hard to be like, well, Greenland is the reason why we all are going to collapse. And as a result of that, now if we don't have to worry about Greenland, then yeah, you have a real big catalyst for why the markets might be able to continue to push. But valuations are still up there. And it's hard to argue that valuations are not up there. I see a lot of people saying I bought SoFi, I bought VG, I bought Zeta, I bought Grab, bought Hood, bought Soxel, SOXL, that's triple leverage semis. Yeah, look at that, 9% on the day. This is definitely a big one for traders as well. Bought TE, bought OSS. OSS has had phenomenal strength over the past couple of weeks, even with the market momentum to the downside. And then Micron right there, that one pushing 390. After who bought Netflix? Who bought the Netflix dip? 85.59 fell to 81. I was looking at some charts on Netflix. This is the lowest. First of all, it's 40% down from the peak. It's exactly where it was during Liberation Day. And then 2 is like, there's a certain technical stat. I'm forgetting the exact stat, but it was below one of the moving averages for the first time in 5 years. And it's like, wow, like Netflix has had a premium for a very long time. Just recently is when that premium got hit. But yeah, I mean, if anyone wants to take a stab at it, down 40% from the highs, and maybe this would be the time to be. All right, so a couple clips from Trump. Here's the first thing he said, which got a lot of people's attention. Also, we had Jensen live today. We got some Jensen stuff to watch where he talked about AI. Here's what Trump had to say about the stock market.
I mean, our stock market took the first dip yesterday because of Iceland. So Iceland's already cost us a lot of money. But that dip is peanuts compared to what it's gone up. And we have an unbelievable future in that stock. That stock market is going to be doubled. we're going to hit 50,000, and that stock market's going to double in a relatively short period of time because of everything that's happening. I mean,
So Trump cares about the stock market. Then he talked about being, well, daddy.
doing it, I'm helping Europe, I'm helping NATO, and I've until the last few days when I told them about Iceland, they loved me. They called me daddy, right? Last time. Very smart man said, he's our daddy. He's running it. I was like running it. I went from running it to being a terrible human being. Doing it, I'm helping.
I don't know why he's calling Greenland Iceland. I get it's not fully green, but yeah, that that's what you get with Trump when he's going off the cuff and he's saying a bunch of different stuff. And then he had some words for Mark Carney, who said some things about the United States yesterday.
Canada gets a lot of freebies from us, by the way. They should be grateful also, but they're not. I watched your prime minister yesterday. He wasn't so grateful. But they should be grateful to us. Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that, Mark, the next time you make your statements. Canada.
So Trump had a lot of different things to say around a variety of different topics right there. Now, we had some interviews after the talk itself. Here's what he said about the Board of Peace, which was that $1 billion thing that he's saying people need to pay to be able to join.
Everybody wants to be on it. But yeah, I have some controversial people on it, but these are people that get the job done. These are people that have tremendous influence. And if I put all babies on the board, there wouldn't be very much. So he was invited. He's accepted. Many people have accepted. I don't know of anybody that hasn't accepted. But it's going to be great. I think the Board of Peace will be the most prestigious board ever, and it's going to get a lot of work done that the United Nations should have done.
Basically framing that as a competitor to the United Nations. And then here's what he said about the next Fed chair, which we still don't know who it's going to be. The credit markets are eagerly awaiting to figure out who the next Fed chair will be.
I can tell you we're down to maybe one in my mind. But
Did Rick Reader impress you in recent?
Very impressive. Yeah, he's been there
Because for a while the betting markets had wars in
well, Rick is very good. They're all good. You know, all three are good. All three would be, I think, good. We have a problem with the man that's there now. He's too late. He's always too late, except when it comes to politics for the other side, where he was actually too early. I'd say we're down.
So you got Trump saying a lot of different things and obviously implying a lot of different arguments about a variety of different potential foreign policy actions and then obviously domestic policy actions. You had the German finance minister say just now, we have to wait a bit and not get our hopes up too soon on this framework of a Trump-Greenland deal. I would be very curious to see what Denmark and Greenland have to say about this quote-unquote deal that Trump is talking about. I mean, obviously the markets might not even care because the market's like, as long as you're not imposing those crazy tariffs, then that's all that we care about. But even if there is a deal, if there's not a deal, but Trump, probably from a policy perspective wants to prove that there is a deal. And the question is going to be if we're ever going to see this deal or if this deal is going to happen anytime soon. So regardless of what else happened at Davos, which we'll get into all the other speakers there, it does seem like these were the main talking points from Trump, going off on Canada, making the argument that Greenland needs to happen, and then an hour ago officially saying he will not be imposing the 10% tariffs on his NATO allies. As a European, I think our leaders are so slow. I obviously hate the Greenland stuff, but they are so slow to realize when the trash talking ends. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different mixed perspectives I've seen from Europeans. A bunch of them I have as friends on X, and I would say the overwhelming majority of them are like absolutely abhorred by what Trump has been saying and what he's doing. And then you've got a cohort of Europeans that definitely feel that the countries within the EU aren't quick to adapt. They don't really embrace technology. They're very bureaucratic, yada, yada. But even those people are saying this was not the way to go around trying to negotiate to get Greenland. But given Trump's sort of strategy, it's always like shock value, immediately try to cause the most damage, cause the most pain, very Joker-esque, laugh about it, right? Like show no remorse. And then at the last minute, you reverse. you reverse everything. And because he is speaking from the position of the United States of America, everyone follows and sees what the United States says. Obviously, the stock market's very contingent on what Trump does. So when he reverses, things react very quickly. I just didn't think the reversal was going to happen in 5 days. I did not think that was going to happen. I understand the art of the deal and all that stuff, but goodness, like 5 days. I mean, it really makes you think they got a hell of a deal for 5 days. And the markets didn't even drop that. This was not like a 30% drop in April where Trump's like, oh man, I got to do something. Like, where was the VIX today? The VIX was up 10% or 9% yesterday. It was down 15% today. Look at that. After being up 40% year to date. Yeah, I guess we were probably expecting a little bit of a breather here. This was a hell of a breather. But I just didn't expect it to happen 5 days later. And that makes me kind of believe that there's maybe more of a concept of deal that will be beneficial for the United States and potentially beneficial for rare earth minerals. But we have no details yet. And I guess we're going to see if that plays out. All right, what do people say in the poll? 63% of you say yes, you trust the taco. So it's about 60-40. 40% saying no, don't trust the taco. 60% saying yes. All right, so let's talk about some of the other major headlines that we had today. Again, AMD got that upgrade. That's why AMD was up 7%, which was great for all those that had held AMD. AMD got to $200 last week. So, I mean, a hell of a rebound from those levels. Jensen said a bunch of things today. Here's a couple of clips of what he had to say around reindustrializing the United States.
President Trump wants to reindustrialize the United States. And AI is really a perfect time to do it, because in order to do that, in order for AI, you have to build infrastructure, and that infrastructure includes chip factories, computer factories, and AI factories. And we're building all three in the United States. Partnering with TSMC, NVIDIA's Blackwell is now produced in Arizona, manufactured in volume as we speak. And this only started just this year. So the rate at which this was being done, TSMC is a great strategic partner of NVIDIA, also of the United States. And they built a fabulous factory in Arizona. In Texas, we have Foxconn building a 1 million square foot computer factory, completely robotics. It's going to be really, really advanced. And so really grateful to have their partnership. And of course, we're building AI factories all over the United States. This is creating just an enormous number of jobs. The thing that's really important to recognize that this is the largest infrastructure build out in human history.
This is the argument that Jensen keeps making, and I think that's why Intel and Amkor continue to get some momentum today. NVIDIA not being the beneficiary in terms of its stock price from everything Jensen says, but a lot of other companies that are part of that overall supply chain ecosystem getting the benefit. Tesla, we had a big piece of news today that I'm seeing right now. Now I get why Lemonade was up 10%. A U.S. insurer, Lemonade, has announced that it will offer a 50% rate cut for drivers of Tesla vehicles when FSD is steering because it had data showing it reduced accidents. Wow. That's pretty incredible. So if you have FSD and you insure your vehicle, your Tesla, through Lemonade, they're giving you 50% off. A car that sees 360 degrees, never gets drowsy, and reacts in milliseconds can't be compared to a human. Beyond the product announcement today, we're also announcing our commitment to the Tesla community. The safer FSD software becomes, the more our prices will drop. Pretty bullish for Lemonade. That stock was up 9% on the day. So if you're in the Lemonade community, that part, I mean, this has been rumored for a while that Lemonade wanted to do a lot more with Tesla. And it looks like they took a pretty big step today. By the way, the Tesla call is next Wednesday. Same thing with Microsoft and Meta. So next Wednesday, book that on your calendar, January 28th. That's going to be a pretty important day. The most important investor question that has been voted up on the Tesla shareholder proxy is, you once said loyalty deserves loyalty. Will long-term Tesla shareholders be prioritized if SpaceX does an IPO? I got 900,000 Tesla shares to vote for it. I think this is actually a reasonable question. Elon has said many times that SpaceX, when it does go public, the longest term Tesla shareholders will have access to it. I don't know. I mean, there is an easy way to do it. I mean, you just register your shares with a variety of different products. Say Technologies is one of the ones that's out there, and it can track how long you've held the shares, and then potentially can just integrate into Robinhood and give you easy access to an IPO, put you ahead of the list. I think they can do the same thing with Schwab and Fidelity. So there might be a pretty easy way to give like OG Tesla holders access to the SpaceX IPO. If he even does an IPO, you've got that whole reverse merger theory that Chamath floated around. But that might be something that people get excited about when it comes to this Tesla earnings and then eventually the SpaceX IPO. Tesla right there, 431, that's up 2.9%. And then Lemonade, that was up 9% on the day. There was a couple of other important clips from Davos as well. You had Jensen say a variety of different things in Davos. He had a pretty long conversation with Larry Fink about the state of AI, where AI factories are going, and kind of where the markets will take place. I thought this clip was one of the more important ones as well. One of the reasons gold continues to go higher and the treasuries continue to get dumped is because of the lack of faith in how we are allocating capital as a country. And Ken Griffin, CEO of Citadel, kind of highlights why that's the case as well.
We're not good. You know, 1920s were an extraordinary period. As I said at the beginning, it's not preordained that it has to end badly.
The end note of the 1920s, which was, of course, the Great Depression, Andrew. So let's take a step back and talk about where we are right here, right now. The area of recklessness is the spending of governments around the world, who are all, with little exception, all spending well beyond their means. That's the recklessness of this moment in history. This is not a parallel to the 1920s in terms of the recklessness of the private capital markets. It's a story of the recklessness of government spending. Within the private sector, there's a huge question as to where AI will take us. And I was carefully taking notes and listening to what Larry has to say, or to what Madame Lagarde has to say, because this is one of the big issues of our moment. Will AI create the productivity acceleration that is honestly that's hoped for in Washington and in the halls of government around the world as a way to overcome the profligate spending that we're currently engaged in? Like the world needs a savior. And the hope is that AI is the savior that we need for productivity. And the challenge with this is it may or may not be. We just don't know yet. Now, there's a tremendous amount of hype around AI. And in some sense, the large AI companies need to create that hype to raise the tens or actually hundreds of billions of dollars of investment that are going into the field. Like, you wouldn't be able to raise hundreds of billions of dollars. We'll spend, and Larry can probably correct me on this, but roughly $600 billion this year in CapEx.
And this is what Dario was saying earlier this morning as well, that we listened to the CEO of Anthropic, which is that, and same thing Nadella said yesterday, which is that we need an ROI on this CapEx. If we just keep talking about the CapEx spend itself, we are probably going to be in a bubble, which means we need to talk about the proliferation of this money and what it's returning, not just the spending of the money itself. We got a New York Times headline that just broke: Trump Greenland deal said to involve small pockets of land. Wow. If this is true, then Trump, he's getting a part of Greenland. Or I should say the United States is getting a part of Greenland. Wow. A compromise in which Denmark would give the United States sovereignty over small pockets of Greenlandic land where the United States could build military bases, according to 3 senior officials familiar with the discussion. I mean, that's what Trump's been arguing for, right? I mean, this is kind of how he negotiates. I mean, maybe going into this, he knew he wasn't going to get the entire piece of land, but if he actually is going to get some pieces, and those pieces are the pieces that are, have the rare earth minerals, which is, I think, the main reason he's wanted Greenland in the first place. Now, the question is, how much land? Where is that land coming from? Is this like a real spot of land, or is this just like some random part that Denmark's agreeing to? Like, we need a lot more details on this. But if this is true, then yeah, I guess we're getting small pockets of land that we're going to have sovereignty over. And the sovereignty part, you can always have a military base there, but the sovereignty part is the most important. That's the stuff that I think Trump cares about the most, and obviously that's what NATO cares about as well. We're going to get blocks of ice. See, like we just have no idea what exactly is going on right now. S&P, I think, is moving a little bit after hours on this headline. S&P, yeah, we're moving up after hours, 685.89. The market likes it a little bit. Zeta's up 1%, but there's not a specific detail on how that's actually playing out. 4:14, which was about 14 minutes ago, that headline just came out. Trump's deal for Greenland is said to involve small pockets of land. Wow. What's his name? Ryan Cohen just bought another 500,000 shares of GameStop. That's 1 million shares in a week. He bought 500,000 shares yesterday. That's $21 million. He spent did I say Greenland? No, 500,000 shares of GameStop, but not 500,000 shares of Greenland. That's up another 3% after being up 2.8% today. Almost $24 million of GameStop. I mean, maybe he knows something that's going to happen with GameStop. Look at that. That's a pretty big insider buy. 1 million shares of GameStop. He should buy Grab instead. Yes, he should buy Grab instead. Here was what Trump had to say earlier. Or actually, let's do the Anthropic CEO. I think this was more important. So for those that haven't seen this, this was really important. This is, I think, one of the most important companies in the age of AI. It is spending a lot of money on CapEx. And here's what Dalio, the CEO, had to say explicitly around OpenAI and kind of how they're differentiating themselves from ChatGPT.
To differentiate in different ways.
That's right. So, I think we've picked a path that's quite different from the other players. Anthropic, since the beginning, Anthropic has thought in terms of safety and reliability of AI systems. And one of the things we realized is that was very synergistic with working with enterprises as compared to consumers, because enterprises really, they value the reliability, they value the trust, they value the long-term relationship with customers. And so we decided to pursue the enterprise business. We have, we have consumer products, but they're not our major focus. It's maybe 80-20 on the enterprise side. And so that really allows us to proceed in a different way, right? We don't have to do ads. We don't have to focus on short form video. We don't have to focus on maximizing engagement. Instead, we actually just focus on making our models as smart and as capable as possible.
I think this was the most important thing he said today. As I've started to think more about OpenAI, and I think the majority of people will agree with this, why are they working on Sora? Why are they burning billions and billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars on GPUs for people to make AI-generated slop? Like it really is pointless unless they're trying to take over TikTok. And it's like, okay, maybe there's a shot that they take over TikTok, but who wants to scroll through endless amounts of AI content just to be served more ads? Like, really? That's the business model with AI? And it's like, I'm not opposed to them doing creative things with AI, which would involve like video editing and all this stuff. But realistically, the amount of compute that's required to make an AI video and the ROI you're getting from that versus Anthropic, that's like, we're just going to make a better model and we're going to get locked into the enterprise, which makes it really hard for them to switch. Consumers can switch pretty easily. It just feels smarter. It just feels so much smarter. And it really makes you question, like, why the hell would anyone give OpenAI money if they're going to burn it on useless AI slop videos for the consumer that inevitably is going to get boring versus being focused on the enterprise?
Because that's what enterprises are looking for. They're looking for capability, they're looking for intelligence, they're looking for optimizing complex business processes across things like finance, coding, pharmaceutical companies, manufacturing, energy, right? All the things that drive the economy. So we think of the work we do as most directly connected to directly driving GDP and not all this kind of indirect or complex stuff like maximizing engagement.
But is the complex stuff video and images and all of that? And ultimately, do you think that those models will be able to do what your models do?
So, I actually think there's a divergence where if you're optimizing for consumers, right, you're trying to be as engaging as possible, you're trying to be as entertaining as possible. I actually don't think some of these other models have enough incentive to get smarter, have enough incentive to become capable of more tasks across the board.
I think that's a big deal. Basically saying ChatGPT is focused on their 800 million users, but the incentives that we have working with very large enterprises, and ChatGPT works with enterprises, but it's like really nothing compared to Anthropic's enterprise business. Our incentives have to work. They have to deliver an ROI. They have to justify why the company continues to pay us. They have to get more of the company's employees using our product, which means we have to integrate into more of their workflows. That is a fundamentally different cultural dynamic inside of a fast-growing tech startup that's actually optimizing for brand new AI use cases versus trying to get more attention from consumers to stay on the app even longer. I mean, that is more reminiscent of social media 1.0, where Facebook's like just trying to keep you hooked, versus a brand new way to interact with AI. And I think Anthropic just seems to have better incentives there.
And we've been able to focus on that more.
I mean, that probably responds to some, I mean, it's probably music to the ears of some investors. We've spoken with investors. Satya Nadella was just talking about this at Microsoft. You know, his point is that if we don't see a broadening of more than just the big tech companies using this AI, if we don't see a broadening of just the wealthiest nations using it, then it is indeed a bubble. There's too much infrastructure that's being built up, but maybe that speaks to who's going to pay for it and who's not.
Well, you know, I mean, I think across the board, we're both trying to grow our revenue as fast as possible. Our revenue grew from zero in 2023, 0 to 100 million, 2024, 100 million to 1 billion, and 2025, 1 billion to almost 10 billion. Yeah. So if we can keep that curve going, or even anywhere close to it, then you know, the return, the investments will be justified. But I think you bring up another point that's also relevant, which is, you know, we need to make sure that kind of the technology diffuses and everyone shares in the benefits. The startups at Silicon Valley, you know, adopt this technology almost immediately. I think it's a little harder to get into large enterprises, although we're spending an increasing amount of time on go-to-market work to try and drive that enterprise transformation and get enterprises to adopt it as quickly as possible. But then, you know, there's all kinds of countries in the world. So, you know, diffusing this technology across not just the developed, but the developing world, I think that's going to be very important. And, you know,
I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, super bullish Anthropic, not only on their growth, which, you know, they're doing 10 billion in revenue, OpenAI is doing 20 billion, but they're attacking the parts of the enterprise. GameStop, right, they're up 4.6%. T1 Energy got hit with a pretty big short report today. That's why that stock is free falling after hours, down 8%. It was down 5% during the day. It seems like the moat of Anthropic is getting a lock in with the enterprise, which Gemini is fighting for that. ChatGPT is fighting for that. Who knows? Meta might be getting into that race. Obviously, Microsoft, Google are in there, but if Anthropic can pull that off, then, you know, they're going to be justifying a lot of the capex that they're spending as well. So that's what we have for Anthropic. I see the UPS jokes are not dying out. In fact, I am literally getting tagged on Twitter as someone says, I'm waiting for my UPS delivery while the driver goes live on YouTube. I really didn't think I looked like a UPS driver, dude. Like, I get it now. Now it makes sense. But I mean, after you guys spammed it a billion times. Tomorrow you should wear a FedEx outfit. This is getting ridiculous. This is getting ridiculous. Okay, dude, I actually do look like a UPS. I just Googled it. All right, I guess that's what I'm gonna be from now on. Okay, so that was the Anthropic thing that I thought was really important. Once again, it seems like Dario is setting himself up to really continue making the argument around the moat. Oh, the Ryanair thing. Okay, so the Ryanair CEO, again, he said a bunch of different things about Elon today. One of the things he said was the Starlink people believe that 90% of our passengers would happily pay for Wi-Fi access. Our experience tells us that less than 10% would pay. Elon called me a bad word. He would have to join the back of a very, very queue of people that already think I'm that, including my 4 teenage children. But we do want to thank him for the wonderful boost in publicity. Our bookings are up 2 to 3% in the last few days. So thank you to Mr. Musk, but he's wrong on the fuel drag. Non-European citizens cannot own a majority of European airlines. But if he wants to invest in Ryanair, we think it would be a very good investment. I think this guy's playing with fire. And I wonder if he really does piss off Elon. I mean, I don't know if Elon's going to be able to buy it, but this guy is definitely pushing Elon here. It's 35 billion. It is a good chunk of change. Maybe Elon goes after it, but all of this because he doesn't want Starlink on the flight, which logically, I don't understand why customers wouldn't want access to Wi-Fi. Like, I don't even know why it's a question. Like, every customer on any plane, if you're going to be there for at least an hour, like, you'd want to check your phone and be able to see the Wi-Fi or be able to check your email or something. So I don't know why he's like so upset about Elon saying we should have Starlink there, but Elon's also doing it in a pretty aggressive way. So I get why he's not the happiest with Elon. But that was the Ryanair update this morning as well. All right. So some of the other headlines that we have, let's get into some other macro stuff. We talked about a bunch. Oh, here's a good chart by Fundstrat this morning. So 83% of companies have beat earnings so far. 42 out of 500 companies have reported. 83% have beat so far, which is good. And 5.6% have surprised. So you're seeing a decent chunk of companies beat earnings. This is really important. And hopefully these companies can continue to beat earnings as we get into the earnings, the tech earnings cycle that is starting soon. Ryanair is too cheap for Wi-Fi. Customers wouldn't pay for that. I mean, look, that's a good point as well. I mean, obviously, if flight tickets are super cheap, adding Wi-Fi to that might be a bigger cost. But like, if I'm the CEO of Ryanair Airlines, I'm like, okay, is there a collaboration we can do with a company to integrate Wi-Fi and still keep our costs low? Maybe there's a deal we can make because that company wants to get more distribution. We don't want to increase prices on consumers. Like, but the Ryanair CEO was just straight up like, yeah, we hate Elon. And that's, I'm like, I guess the guy just doesn't like Elon versus trying to find a deal with this. We had Tom Lee, who is just on right now. Here is what he had to say about this whole Greenland situation.
We're very concerned about Greenland and what's happened in Japan. And they thought of 2025 when it took 8 weeks for stocks to find their low, down 20%. So I think there was a lot of fear. So today's news really does do a lot to diffuse a lot of that anxiety. And I think it's wise to buy that dip.
Yeah, I mean, as part of this, of course, the president also saying no tariffs on Europe on February 1st. And that's what really upset the market. Are you still looking, though, Tom, as positive as you might sound for a bear market sometime around mid-year?
That's right, Scott. I think we have been pretty clear that we think that there is...
Who agrees with Tom? Because he's still on this kick of 20% bear market, which again, from these levels is 550 on the S&P, 5,500. Like, if that's the case, I mean, you can't be loading up heavy on stocks if you think it's going down 20%. Like, which begs the question, Tom, why the hell are you buying Ethereum every week? Because if the S&P gets hit by 20%, Ethereum's going to get cut in half. Like, like there's no if and buts about it. So, like, who agrees that we actually see this 20% dip?
It's going to be a mid-year hiccup. It could be around policy or it could be around the new Fed being challenged. But that's coming from us markets being at a higher level. And I think one of the mistakes people make whenever they hear that commentary is they think it means to go to cash. Now, as you know, we've advised to stay invested and to buy the dip. But yes, there is a lot of good taking place in 2026, but we do have a lot that's already been priced in because of 3 good years of market gains.
What dip would you be buying specifically?
Well, for instance, I would be buying the dip on companies that have good earnings visibility or a structural reason to be long, because those that got sold yesterday, for instance, they're still the same great company. They were just 10% cheaper. I mean, to me, that's a stock I'd want to buy. The names I'd want to avoid are companies that are in the bullseye of White House policy, because we know last year, the White House picked winners and losers. It created problems for healthcare and consulting companies. This year, it's credit card issuers, institutional buyers of single-family homes, and it's, some countries too. So I think that's the stocks to avoid. But I think fundamentally strong names, you still want to buy the dip.
I mean, it's complicated, though. You say that. You don't know who's in the so-called bullseye next. That's one of the problems.
100%. You're right, because if the White House decides that there's a company or series of companies that are creating problems for Americans right now, whether it's credit card bills or electricity bills, there could be action. As you know, one of the potential, quote, risks is data centers and their consumption of electricity. So that is something to watch.
I mean, you're gonna say, don't buy the home builders, because what if the home builders, he doesn't like home builders building homes and charging the prices they're charging? I'm just saying it's a slippery slope to start going down, where, in your words, you have an administration picking winners and losers. It certainly complicates the picture a bit, doesn't it?
Sure, Scott. I mean, every administration picks winners and losers. Tom Block, our policy strategist, has pointed out that's what Washington's power is, that they tend to pick winners and losers. But we do have a White House that is quite ambitious. They've accomplished a lot, but they're trying to accomplish a lot. So you're right, that's the risk. And perhaps one of these is enough of a tipping point to cause a broader pullback in the markets. I mean, that's another possibility for why we'd have a drawdown that feels like a bear market.
But see, the crazy thing about Tom's predictions here is that he was obviously very bullish towards the end of the year, particularly on crypto. Even towards the end of January, I think he had ETH at 9,000, Bitcoin at 150,000. That's not going to happen. Now he's saying expect a 20% drawdown. And what if that doesn't happen? Like, the ultra bullish crypto argument didn't play out at the end of 2025 or in the end of January, what if the ultra bearish thesis also doesn't play out either? Which 20% on the S&P, man. I mean, I could understand 10%. We get to 620, 630. I could even understand going down to 6,000. Losing 6,000, given the earnings growth we have put up, I mean, it can obviously get pretty ugly, and that could happen pretty quick. How many? Let me ask this question: how many dollars of earnings did the S&P do in 2025? I believe we're at 275, roundabout. It was 241 to 275. Okay, so if we end the year at, let's call it 255 and put a 26 multiple on that, we get 66.30. If we do 265 times 25, 66.25. So we got to do 275 times what? Times 31. 275 times 28. Yeah, I mean, if you give us 275 times 25, so if we do $275 a share for the S&P this year, put a 25 PE on that, which is I think basically where we're at. We're at 25, 26 on the PE. That you get exactly at 68.70, which is where we're at right now, 68.50. So for us to lose that multiple and get to 5,500 with 275, that multiple would go down to 21 times. So we'd be losing about 20% on the multiple, on the price to earnings multiple on the S&P from 25 to 21, which is not crazy to imagine, right? A contraction of the multiple from 25 times, which is historically one of the highest multiples we've ever had on the S&P, down to 21. I think the average is around 16 to 19, which would still be a little aggressive at 21, is not crazy to imagine. But the level of destruction that it would impose, I just feel it's hard to imagine that. And maybe it's just because we're all bulled up, but like AppLovin's going to 200, MicroStrategy is going to 0, Amazon's going to like 150. Like if we actually have that 20% correction, this whole thing is hit. But if you believe we're having a 20% correction, you can't be loading the boat on these names. Like it would be tough to load the boat. You should be buying the dip when that happens, which is I think what Tom would say, but loading the boat here is a little tough to rationalize. Unless I think it's not going to happen. Which, I don't know, dude. I don't want to be the guy that says a correction can't happen. I just think 20% is a bit too steep for the earnings growth. And I don't know if Trump will necessarily let that happen. I mean, if it was going to happen, one of the catalysts would be this whole Greenland geopolitical thing. And now that's kind of out the window, apparently. So, like, what's the next catalyst? The other thing people are talking about, BM&R is going to $5. The other thing people are talking about is the government shutdown. The call sheet odds for the shutdown are still 30%. But no one's really talking about the shutdown. 32.9, it's actually up. So I don't know, January 30th, we need to get an extension of the budget. There's a chance we don't, which is where we would see the shutdown. But, if we don't have the shutdown, then that's not a catalyst also that could get really ugly to take down the markets. 20% drawdowns happen every few years. Yes, I mean, the last time we saw it was 2022. Now, again, what happened in 2022 was the biggest rate hikes in 40 years. So if that was the catalyst to take us down that badly, I wonder what would be the catalyst for this time. The other thing that's really important to talk about probably is what's going on in Japan. So I know a lot of people might be a bit confused on it. We've talked about it over the past few days. Obviously, Japan is not doing that well. The 10-year, the 30-year, the 40-year continues to spike. Those bond yields going higher means that the government's not really trusting what's happening in Japan. I think the most important thing to look at outside of Japan is something called the MOVE Index. And people have probably heard about it before. By the way, Japan's second largest bank is now planning to double their purchases of the Japanese government bonds. They want to double the 10.6 trillion yen that they already have to about 20 trillion yen to continue buying more. So the MOVE Index is really important. The MOVE Index, as you can see right here, is a measure of bond volatility. Just like the VIX is a measure of stock market volatility, MOVE is a measure of bond volatility. Right now we're at 58. If we were to get a spike into the 100s, and the reason we're already seeing a little bit more bond volatility right now is because of obviously what's going on in Japan and the US 10-year treasuries, that's when the government and the Fed probably gets involved. This is exactly what happened back in 2020. So I don't think we get to the sort of massive infinite money printer that ends up having to buy all these treasuries to get these yields to come down and convince the credit markets that yields are still, or treasuries are still stable to buy until that move index really spikes. But it's starting, it has started to move higher. And, you know, I guess the reason it's moving higher is because the government has a big concern with what's going on with, or not the government, the credit markets have a big concern with how governments are allocating capital. And this is why Ray Dalio continues to say that gold is the safe haven, which we got to give some credit to Ray Dalio. I mean, he's been saying this for the past 2 years to just buy gold, because in the way the world is operating, governments are going to be unsustainable, empires are going to collapse. And he's been dead right. Like, buying gold has been one of the best bets over putting your money into bonds.
Let's step back from the sensational and be clear about what I mean. The monetary order is breaking down. Okay. What I mean by the monetary order is that fiat currencies and debt as a storehold of wealth is not being held by central banks in the same way, and that there was a change. The biggest market to move last year was the gold market, far better than the tech markets, right, and so on. And the U.S. markets underperformed foreign markets because of the fact you could see it in the numbers of the central banks and so on. So let's just look at the fact that on the other side of trade deficits and trade wars, there are capital and capital wars. And so as we're looking at that, and you reported what the stock market and so on, but you didn't report that the gold market is also up 3.
We did say that earlier this morning.
Okay,
It's up to
but
record
I'm
levels
saying
again and silver.
is you look at what is happening and why it's happening and who's buying it. So let's just take a moment on that capital war issue, okay? We know that both the holders of US dollar denominated debt, which is money, and those who need it, the United States, are worried about each other, right? So if you have other countries who are holding it and they're worried about each other and we're producing a lot of it, that's a big issue, right? So you have to explain what is going on with fiat currencies, generally speaking. And now if you take the conflicts, you can't ignore the possibility that capital wars, in other words, maybe there's not the same inclination to buy US debt and so on. We at least need to talk about those possibilities and find out who is buying and selling what that is behind these market movements.
And that's why he's been making the argument that central banks and people should continue allocating to gold as there is more uncertainty around what's going to happen with bonds as countries become a bit more volatile in terms, and to his argument, just they don't care as much about how they're properly allocating capital. Something just crossed my screen. I guess, speaking of Ray Dalio, I do have something in common with Ray Dalio. Looks like X just put out a new feature where they list the top 10 accounts in any category. I was wondering why I was getting a bunch of followers just now. I guess I made the list with Ray Dalio. You have Dalio, Kathy, Amit, Squawkbox, CNBC, Luke Groman, Eric, this guy works at Bloomberg, David Hunter, Pegasus Fund, Mr. Derivatives, and then the Kobisi letter. That's kind of crazy, dude. I was like, I'm getting all these notifications. I'm like, what is happening here? That's pretty cool. Shout out to Nikita. He's their head product leader. He's been pushing out a bunch of new products. We've compiled, over the last few months, we've scoured the world for the top posters in every niche and country. We've compiled them into a new tool called Starter Packs to help new users find the best accounts, big or small. Wow. That means when someone signs up for X and says they're interested in finance, these are the top accounts that they can click follow right there and they would be following all of them. That is pretty cool. That's really dope. I appreciate that from Nikita. And there we are with Mr. Ray Dalio on that list. That's definitely a boost in the algo, man. That's a big boost in the algo. That means if you sign up to X, I mean, I remember when I signed up to X years ago and I was interested in like tech, like the biggest tech people would show up and you would just follow them immediately because that would fill up your feed. Cool. All right. We are further in the algo with that. I probably do need a profile. Dude, that profile picture is like 3 years old. Should I be the UPS driver for the for the profile picture. UPS driver moving up in the world. Oh my gosh. Dude, today was a fun day. Today was a fun day. I don't want to give away what I was doing with Steve. I'm just going to show you guys this picture. If you follow me on Instagram, you would see it in my Instagram stories. I'll put the Instagram in the chat. But that was a little bit of what we were doing today with Mr. Steve. Now, there might be a guest who is involved in this special taping. And I don't want to give away the name of the guest because I think it's going to be a huge surprise. You guys can guess who it is. But I really do think no one's going to guess it. Or if you do guess it, it's going to be hard to guess. I'll put the Instagram in the chat right now. But I think it's a fun one. I think you guys will enjoy it. Think you guys will enjoy it. It should be fun. Yeah, we had Trump on. Trump did our podcast in New York before going to freaking, I was about to say Greenland, Switzerland. It was not Sir Joseph Carlson. One day we will have Sir Joseph Carlson. And him and Steve will resolve all their issues. One day. It was not Chris Camillo either, although we got to do Chris Camillo. It was not Triple V either. It was not my dentist, although interviewing my dentist would be pretty cool. So, what do you think about my teeth? You know, I mean, that'd be a fun conversation. Your eyebrow stylist? Oh my gosh, dude. My eyebrow stylist is a 35-year-old Dominican man who just like cleans up my eye. He doesn't style. I don't get my eyebrows waxed like women do. He just cleans them up a little bit. That's all it is. That's all he does. S&P 500 right there, 685.68 after hours. Gold again continuing to make a massive move. What is the gold market cap now? It's got to be above 30 trillion at this point. $33 trillion for gold. My goodness, dude. 33 trillion. Silver's at freaking 5 something. 5.2. Nvidia's at 4.4. Google and Apple 3.9 and 3.6. That's what you got. I'm hoping we get a 20% dip so I can accumulate. You know, the guests we had on the podcast today, we asked them about what would happen or what is your advice if the market dips 20%. And he said exactly that. He said, if you're young, forget if you're young. If you have years left of working, which even if you're 40, if you're working till you're 60 or at least 55, you are going to be allocating to your 401k every 2 weeks. Same thing that Steve says pretty often, right? And so the guest we had on today made it a point to let people know, like, you should be excited if you get a pretty crazy dip. Because that means you can keep buying more and get more bang for your buck over time. It is not Mr. Beast. It is not Mr. Beast. Although that would be fun, but he's busy building DeFi applications on Ethereum, potentially. It's your UPS union rep. Dude, now I want to wear this every day. Now I just want to be the UPS driver. Amazon 231. This one also was flat on the day. Again, Amazon had some pretty good news over the past couple of weeks. They got a big upgrade today, or a reiteration of their upgrade by Mark Mahaney, 335. Every time I see an Amazon upgrade, it continues to be the same thing, which is just like, hey, AWS is working. Robotics are doing very well. Same thing with Meta. I mean, Meta, by the way, you got this right here. Meta CTO says the company's newest AI models are very good and that Meta Superintelligence Lab delivered its first key models internally in January. Meta has stated that their new goal is to build super intelligence. Alexander Wang, who's the chief AI guy at Meta, he posted this picture the other day of the web traffic on Meta. And take a look at this. Although it's not near ChatGPT or Gemini, it's up 270% for MAUs, 157% for store downloads, and 92% on the web. So they're growing pretty massively. This is quarter over quarter in regards to their AI products. Now, obviously, it's not, again, GPT with 800 million people, but Meta does have 4 billion people eventually if they integrate them into the AI products. Maybe that's what Zucks says to make an argument for the ROI on AI. ASTS did get upgraded today. Again, that one did take a hit as the overall market took a hit. ASTS 103.50. It's up a little bit after hours as well. This is because people accidentally click on Meta AI. Yeah, I did that the other day with WhatsApp. But still, at least people are somewhat on it. Yeah, Meta's on the 20th of January on Wednesday. If you got Jensen, I'm gonna lose my shit. We did it in person in New York today, so there's no way we had anyone who was at Davos. But I think, first of all, the podcast was phenomenal. Like, this guy can talk. Like, my goodness, and he's entertaining and he can story tell. Basically, I told you guys, me and Steve want to start a real professional podcast, and we're starting to take the first steps to begin it. And we got our first guest today, and I really do think you guys are gonna love this episode for the first guest. And we're trying to do once a week. And so I'm trying to see all the guests we can tap into. It's not Tom Lee or Dan Ives, although Dan already agreed to be on the show, so hopefully we'll get him on episode 2. But I think you guys will enjoy it. I think you guys will enjoy. Said Lutnick. I would actually love to have a conversation with Lutnick. I just want to ask him some questions. What is the show called? Okay, that's a good question. Can someone help us with that? Because we have no idea. Like, Steve's been on ChatGPT for the past 3 days trying to figure out a name for the show. And ChatGPT says this stupid, like, stock market hunters. I'm like, no, Steve, we cannot, like, we cannot name it some stupid AI name. I have no idea what to name this show, to be honest. The theme of the show is not even rooted necessarily just in the stock market. It's two guys who love markets, business, finance. Obviously, it's more tailored towards stocks than like general business. But I feel like we should be able to interview anyone in the world of business and make it a compelling product. I have no idea what to call it, though. The milk and the UPS man. I told Steve he was not allowed to talk about milk on this episode. So we didn't get into the milk stuff. Here's an update real quick on Intel as well, and why this one moved a bit higher today.
Investors get ready for its fourth quarter earnings report, which we will have released during overtime tomorrow. Seema Modi joins us for more on Intel's recent rally. Seema.
Mike and Melissa, now at a 4-year high. Clearly, the market is getting a bit more excited about its core business. The first time in a long time. That's the Panther Lake processor, which it manufactured using its 18A process. Seaport research partner analyst Jay Goldberg, who was among the analysts who upgraded the stock today, said he's hearing positive feedback from personal computer manufacturers. Remember, Intel has been losing market share in CPUs to AMD and Qualcomm. Progress on Panther Lake, that's raising confidence in Intel's manufacturing capabilities as it works to fabricate high-performing chips here in the U.S. Investors will want that update tomorrow on new customer wins when the company reports earnings. And if the
Intel's tomorrow. No, Intel's not tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? Intel's not tomorrow. No, it is tomorrow. Oh, that's why I rallied today.
of the U.S. government, and now NVIDIA could accelerate its timeline to make a chip that rivals TSMC, though the Trump administration, his latest deal with Taiwan, which includes subsidies, does suggest that the hyperscalers remain heavily reliant on Intel's main rival, Taiwan Semi. It's going to take a lot for them to switch, though higher prices, that could be one incentive, and Apple is already reportedly engaging with Intel. Despite the big rally that we've seen over the last 12 months, analysts seem a bit more cautious, about 33 holds and 9 buys if you're tracking.
It's amazing because
we wanted to buy Intel at 35, said nope. At 45, said it ran too much. Now it's at almost 55. Now, here's the question. Who's taking a play on Intel tomorrow? Is this thing really pumping to 60 tomorrow, 54 right now? Like, I can't do it. If this thing was 45, I might take a little swing at it. But after a 47% year-to-date run, I don't know if I can take a shot at this for earnings. But it's probably going to pump tomorrow on earnings as well. I mean, Jensen and Trump are in it. That's it. That's all I needed. Grinding and Milking Stocks podcast. That's not horrible. Dude, I thought of currently right now, but currently right now is more of a me thing versus a Steve thing. And I also think currently right now is like not really a brand name for this type of product. But we really don't have a name, dude. We've been spent the past week trying to figure out what the name should be. And I have no idea. I don't want it to have the word stock in it. That's just weird. Like, like it's a stock market podcast, but it doesn't need to have stock in the name. I also want it to roll off the tongue and be like easy to say, especially if this is going to last for a long time. I don't know. I got a summary of the New York Times Greenland article that just came out. So the core claim, Trump says he and NATO formed the framework of a future deal. The second main point is potential U.S. sovereign territory inside Greenland for bases. NATO officers discuss a compromise where Denmark would give the U.S. sovereignty over small pockets of Greenlandic land. The officials didn't know if this idea is what actually compromises Trump's framework. The goal of this, the second main point, is to block Russia and China. NATO's statement frames the purpose as negotiations aimed at ensuring Russia and China never gain a foothold economically or military in Greenland. The U.S. is trying to build Arctic security positioning and deny competitors from getting access to it. Dude, if we actually got parts of Greenland, I mean, it would be quite incredible for Trump to end up getting this deal. By the way, we got a headline for NVIDIA. NVIDIA's Jensen plans to visit China as he works to reopen the market. That also could have been a reason why NVIDIA did well this morning, as we're starting to get some more momentum of China revenue coming back. Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes has asked President Trump to commute her sentence after being convicted of defrauding investors in her blood testing startup. She has a, I think, 25-year sentence. Is that her sentence? Or it's like 9. How long is Elizabeth Holmes' sentence? Milking the bull. Okay, 11 years. I think she's served 2 out of the 11 so far. So she's trying to get that cut down. Also, the U.S. Department of Energy will seek interest from U.S. states on storing nuclear waste in return for incentives to build nuclear reactors. Okay, so the DOE trying to continue getting some more momentum around nuclear. Dude, if he were to pardon freaking Elizabeth Holmes. Has anyone seen the Hulu documentary on her? That documentary is one of the best. Also, there's a show. What's the show about her? It was on Apple, right? I watched it a while ago. It was The Dropout. No, this is Hulu. Yeah, this is a great show. This is a phenomenal show. It really goes to show you how far people will go to fraud and convince people about something that's not real. Milk Brothers. Amit and Steve After Hours. Yappers. See, these are not bad names, but these just aren't the names. Like, I feel like when you know, right? When you know, you know. And I haven't had that moment yet where like, you just know. And I got to see if we have that moment. All right, what else? Is that pretty much all the main headlines? Do we have everything here? And we covered a lot of the Davos stuff. Obviously, the breaking news from Trump, no tariffs. I guess potentially a taco, unless Trump actually got some of the stuff he wanted, which means maybe not as much of a taco. We got all the UPS jokes in. We looked at a bunch of these Trump clips. Looked at what Jensen had to say earlier today. AMD did great this morning. That helped a lot of people. Milk and tacos. Taco traders. Twin brothers. High returns pod. See, again, high returns sounds too stock markety. Like, I wanted to not have to do with the stock market, but also have to do with the stock market. It is going to be professional video though, so I think you guys will enjoy it. It'll be on a new channel, and it's going to be multiple camera angles, professional video. So I think you guys will enjoy it. Here's another clip of Jensen talking more about what Trump has been able to do for AI.
Well, we've started in a very big way. Without President Trump and his strategies, we wouldn't be here today. And so I'm really grateful for all of his policies and encouraging Taiwan and TSMC to build here in the United States. In the next several years, over the course of the next 3 more years, we're going to manufacture approximately $500 billion worth of AI computing systems here in the United States. So it's just incredible.
One sec. Video went dark. Let me pull it back up. Here it is.
In the United States. So it's just an incredible thing. The partnership with TSMC and Taiwan, it's great for Taiwan. It expands the Taiwan footprint into the United States. It's fantastic for them. It's, of course, incredible for the United States. Creates lots and lots of jobs. Now, the ecosystem and building up all of these fabs is probably going to take several years. Within a decade, there's no question we'll be in there. Well, we've started in a very big way.
So you got Jensen pretty excited about what Trump has been doing. And then you also had this that happened this morning when Jensen was speaking with Larry Fink at Davos. And then we'll take a look at what Kathy Wood said today. And we'll get kind of her broader ideas. Where Jensen talked about a story that I've never heard from Jensen. Maybe some other people have heard this story before, but let me pull it up right here. Around one of his first big cars that he bought and how it ended up being a relatively expensive car. So pull this up right here. It's actually a pretty good story. I didn't know about this. This was his first Mercedes.
Journey, and I know we have many more years of that journey ahead of us.
Thank you. I appreciate that. My only regret was at the IPO, after the IPO, I wanted to buy my parents something nice. And so I sold NVIDIA stock at a valuation of $300 million. The company was at a valuation of $300 million, and I bought them a Mercedes S-Class. It is the most expensive car in the world. They regret it.
Do they still have it?
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Good.
They still have it. Yeah.
Good. Let me go into the subject matter.
It's kind of crazy, bro. I mean, he was probably super young. Company's worth 300 million. He's like, I should probably cash out a little bit, get my parents a gift. Company's worth a little bit more now. So I thought that was a good moment as well. But I mean, yeah, look, again, NVIDIA continues to be, one could argue, one of the cheapest names in the market if you believe their growth expectations. I know the market's not giving it the benefit of the doubt. Even after the taco stuff today, didn't really fully break out, but at least it's holding in these 180 levels. All milk, no beef. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I think we need a better... I need a name to hit me. I need the name to be like, yeah, that's the name. I just haven't had the name hit me yet. The Open Exchange. I don't know about that. Relevant Alpha. No. I'm really picky on the name stuff, dude. Really, because it's like a brand. It's gotta like hit. UPS podcast. I don't know. We got to see. I got to really spend some time and think about it. No, I don't like common sense. It can't be stock markety. That's the thing. The best name has to not deal with the markets, but people still come to it for the markets. Otherwise, it becomes like every other investing podcast where, you know, like Alpha Edge or something. Just like, no, that's like, it's a very basic concept around finance terms that you put together. The Amit and Steve show. Honestly, dude, I was if I can't think of a name, that's what it's going to be called. But I know we're going to be able to think of a name. I just don't want it to sound like it's a stock market podcast. The steakhouse. Dude, people are going to think we're reviewing steaks on that. Apple plans to build wearable pin in 2027. AI wearable pin. See, this is what OpenAI is trying to do as well. OpenAI is trying to do this wearable stuff. I am so bearish on AI wearables. Like, I wish I could short the concept of it. I don't think it's going to work. I really don't. I think AI wearables are not going to be a thing unless they're connected to your phone. And realistically, I think all the alpha is going to come from your phone. I think the phone's going to become the AI wearable thing. All right, let me go do the super chats. Jace, thanks for the super chat. Taco baby, we got the taco. Rusty, thank you for the super chat. UPS up 1.9% today. Appreciate it. Dunce, thanks for the super chat. Amid all the UPS packages being delivered today. I guess so. Duck, thanks for the super chat. Were you not able to change? Went straight from delivering packages to delivering the news, so I did not have time to change. Spencer, thanks for the super chat. My package is late. Drive a little faster. I will try to do that next time. Joe, thanks for the super chat. Admit you need to change. Well, now this is my outfit. This is my outfit. Mamba, thanks for the super chat. Admit I read over your 2026 strategies again last night on Substack. It's one of the best pieces I've ever read. Subscribe. Okay, glazing over. Thanks. UPS. Dude, I appreciate that. I spent a lot of time on that Substack. And we got the next 2 deep dives that I'm working on. I'm trying to find some real different names that are out there. So there's a couple I was working on, and then I don't really like those. So hopefully by like end of next week, we'll have those 2 deep dives out on Substack. I'll link it in the chat, but hopefully the 2026 portfolio one was a little helpful for people. What are you looking for a name for? A name for Steve and I's new podcast. A professional in-person podcast. That is what we're looking for. I didn't know UPS drivers use rickshaws. That's racist. Chris Patel, that was racist. And the worst thing it was racist against your own kind, which actually makes it really funny. That was still racist. The Walking Edge show, high margin, buy high, cry later. Dude, I'm sorry, guys. I'm not vibing with any of these names. I'm really not. Like, none of these names I could see being a long-term name yet. I'm going to have to really sit and think about this. We got to figure it out. Yeah, what did the heat map look like today? We had to go fully green across the board. Wow, Microsoft still ended down 2%. What is going on with Microsoft, dude? What is happening? Is the street just, Oracle was down as well, and so was Broadcom. What is one thing Microsoft, Oracle, and Broadcom have in common? OpenAI. OpenAI said we're going to pay Broadcom a lot of money. That's not happening. OpenAI said we're going to pay Oracle a lot of money. That's not happening. And obviously, Microsoft owns 33% of OpenAI or 27% of OpenAI, and maybe the market's not bullish on OpenAI. I feel like this is an OpenAI issue. Call it the medium rare podcast. Yeah, but see that's a little bit too much about food at that, or like it feels like it's about food at that point. I don't know. I think it has to be a different name here. I got to really think it through. We're going to launch it the day of the meetup. We're going to launch the podcast the day of the meetup. So February 1st will be the day the podcast comes out. And so I have about a week and a half to think of what this name will look like. Yeah, the Elon lawsuit stuff. Oh, the OpenAI lady, the CFO, she was on today. Dude, I mean, when you listen to her, I played Dalio. When you listen to her, she just sounds not scared, but like defensive. Not that she's being like aggressive or mean or anything. She just feels. Let me play this right here.
In a little bit.
Great.
I'll ask you the same question I asked Dario. Just how do you now start to see, or do you see sort of a distinction between your models, I should say, what Google is now doing, what Anthropic's doing, what XAI is doing? I mean, it does seem like there's starting to be more differentiation, sort of where you think ultimately your market is.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a pretty exciting time for AI. You can't walk around the conference floor without talking about it. A year ago, we were starting to talk about agents and about things that could come into your life as a consumer and do tasks for you, be with you in the workplace, help you really do your job. And now we are here talking this week about the agentic enterprise. So really going deep on transformation. We think that consumer and enterprise are symbiotic, so we need to be in both. And in particular, though, I think what Demis, I talked to him earlier today, Dario was just with, we all agree there is a massive capability overhang that's occurring. There is AI in people's hands today. They're using it quite simplistically, but the power users are using it 7 times more than just the average user. They're coding, they're doing deep research tasks, they're in research labs causing breakthroughs, and a lot of people are still just doing kind of search.
This clip doesn't have where she talks about the lawsuit. I was trying to find that part, but when they ask her about the Elon lawsuit, again, she's very dismissive of it. And she's like, well, Elon will sue us whenever he wants and he'll say whatever. But you could tell that if you go through the lawsuit, I'm not saying Elon's going to win, but man, it doesn't look like OpenAI is definitely going to win. It's not like a BS law. Like there is an argument where he has a claim to some equity, and if he wins, one would have to argue OpenAI is done. Now, I think there's too much big money in OpenAI to let Elon win, even if some of those people are fans of Elon. But there's just no way they're going to let him take control of the company like that, because then OpenAI is over. And then when she was asked about consumer versus enterprise, she said, hey, we want to focus on both sides of the aisle. And Dario was just like, screw the consumer. The consumer has no money and they'll switch to the latest model, but the enterprise is where the moat is. And I'm like, yeah, logically, Intel up another 1% after hours, of course. It makes sense. Why would you not focus on the people with the money versus the consumer that, like, what, they're gonna have to sit through ads? Really? You're doing all this AI stuff to become an advertising company? And then B, the consumer is super flimsy. Like if there's a better model, they'll flip immediately. It just feels like Anthropic is in a better stance to have a chance to win this. But time will tell. Hopefully all of them win so that NVIDIA and AMD continue to get paid. How about retail money show? I don't like that. I don't like money being in the name. Also, I don't think it's purely just like for retail investors, right? Like that's the majority of the audience, but I don't think it's like just a retail thing. Unscripted. I don't love that either. I'm being super picky here, but I really want the name to stick. Breaking bread. It's actually not crazy. Breaking bread. I do like Breaking Bad a lot. Yeah, retail sounds a little too corny. The Gentleman's Exchange. That sounds like a strip club. The Gentleman's Exchange. Also, what if we're interviewing a woman in finance? That you actually have a UPS driver watching you. Keith, do you work for UPS? I love it. There's a bunch of people that have either worked for Amazon Delivery, FedEx, or UPS that I know watch the show. That's awesome. I appreciate you watching. Quant Up, Rainbow Dudes. Okay, maybe if it was just me, not Steve. Steve has to agree to the name at the end of the day. I don't know. We got to figure this thing out. We got to figure this thing out. But we got about 9 days. So we'll see what we can do. Currently, right now, I don't care. You know, that's not a crazy idea for that to be the name. It's probably not going to be the name, but that's not crazy for it to be the name. Name it leverage. See, but it's just too basic of a business term, leverage. You know what I'm saying? This is a hard problem. This is actually one of the hardest names I've had to come up with in a long time. Especially because it's not just for me, it's for someone else too. Where was Google today? Did we go up on the Googs? Yeah, 328. Google right there up 2%. See, if the S&P takes a 20% correction, Google, dude, Google's going back to 200. Like, I just can't see that happening, dude. I can't see Google getting hit that badly. I can see it going back to like 250. And that's like, again, things would have to get ugly. Tons of buyers would step in at that point. Because the thing is, when these stocks correct 10%, their earnings multiples get really cheap. Like Meta is at 18 times. Like, that's not expensive. So if Meta goes to 10 times on a 15% correction, people are buying that. I'm buying that. I don't know how you don't allocate capital on a dip like that on the best companies in the world. Unless there's something structural. But if there's no recession or anything super geopolitical, then I wonder what cascades it into a 20% drawdown. And maybe it's easy to say that when we're not experiencing that aggressive of a drawdown, but still, you would need a pretty big catalyst. Yeah, Micron 392 after hours as well. Milk, macro, and micro. Future forward. The Greeks. See, if we were options oriented, that might be not a horrible idea. Call your dentist capital. Oh my gosh, this is hard. This is freaking hard. ChatGPT didn't help either. Call it the Michelle and Spencer podcast. It's a great idea. Why not? The Steak and Milk podcast. 2 guys, 1 stock. I don't know if that's the best one, but that is a funny one. All right. Do we have any other news? Do we have anything else? Do we end it here? I don't think we missed anything crazy today. Got most of the main headlines. I definitely missed doing the show in the morning. Again, I really tried to not do this podcast in the morning, but the guests, this was like the only time they had available. So hopefully in the future, we don't have to have this interference, but especially on a day like today, dude. And we actually pumped in the pre-markets and then right at 9:30, ugly dump. We were like at 9:25, like Rocket Lab was $92. Like things were moving and then Rocket Lab got to like 84 at one point. Got hit. This quote I thought was really interesting as well. Today, we saw a $25 billion AUM Danish pension fund talk about the unusual step of announcing a complete divestiture, I think is how you say it, is basically getting rid of U.S. Treasuries worth about $100 million. That's a drop in the bucket compared to the $775 billion of daily turnover in the nominal coupon Treasuries, but it's still a headline-grabbing step that a $25 billion AUM Danish pension fund, obviously you can understand why they want to get rid of their U.S. Treasuries. They're upset about the whole Greenland thing. Got rid of $100 million of treasuries. And so now that this Greenland thing is theoretically resolved, which maybe it is, maybe it's not, based on this framework of a deal, I wonder if they just buy it back. And I wonder if a lot of funds that were thinking of dumping U.S. treasuries buy back. And, you know, there was a lot of people yesterday on X when I was like, where else would the Europeans put the money? A bunch of people were like, oh, we have plenty of places to put it. And I'm like, where exactly are you guys going to put the money? And someone was like, we can put it into, someone from Europe, I think it's from Germany. He was like, we can put it into South Korean defense stocks. I was like, you realize the whole point of putting money into treasuries is that it's basically risk-free and that it's guaranteed to give you interest. If South Korean defense stocks have a bad 5 years, you can't just gamble with the central bank reserves in South Korean, like, you got to put the money somewhere, and you don't want to trust Japanese bonds, given what's been going on. You're not going to put it into Bitcoin. I guess you could put gold, but you don't really gamble with pension money in gold. You can put a portion of that in gold, but you're supposed to put it into something that is guaranteeing you a return from someone that's from an entity that's likely never going to default, which the United States could default, but if that happens, we have a lot bigger problems. And so for everyone saying, well, the Europeans can just put the money somewhere else, it's like there's not that many places to put, like, you can put into U.S. stocks, but if the U.S. stock market has an issue, at least the bond market will be somewhat stable. The S&P 500 is not necessarily the most stable. So I think the U.S. Treasury market is the most liquid Treasury market we have on the planet, which is why it has so much demand. It's why the U.S. has so much money. It's why the U.S. is able to finance so many things. It's why the U.S. is able to print so much money. And you can't just necessarily divest out of that. Yeah, you can't just put all the money into Rheinmetall. I mean, at the end, like you need to have some level of safety. That's the whole point of a treasury. You're not hoping for the treasury to give you 18% yield like a defense stock could if it has a really good year, and that's if it has a good year. You're hoping for it to give you a consistent yield every year for 10 years, 30 years, 20 years, and not stress about that money ever being liquidated. Call it 69 minutes. I don't know if Steve's going to love that one. Quick chat with Amit and Steve. Cash or crash. Beta Licka. Steve's actually listened to more Meta Licka than me. Fiorillo and Cucragia. Dude, our last names are so random put together. Fiorillo and Cucragia. Liquidity grab. Breaking Bread is not that bad. It just feels like it's too much of a copycat of Breaking Bad. I want to be more original. Even though I love Breaking Bad. By the way, I'm starting to not care anymore about Grey's Anatomy. It was cool for the first 2 seasons. I'm on the 5th season now, and I'm just like, bro, this is getting boring. So Had a good run in my attention span. Got me hooked on at least the first 3 seasons. I've been skipping through the 4th one. I'm at the 5th one. I'm probably not going to stop watching. But it had a nice little 2-season run. I don't know how the hell they have 24 seasons. Who the hell watched Grey's Anatomy for 24? Basically 24 years? Well, it's like 15, 17 years. Did you watch High School Musical yesterday? I did not, although High School Musical did have their 20-year anniversary yesterday, if anyone cares. I did not watch it yesterday, but they did have their anniversary. My wife still watches it. That's crazy, dude. I can't watch this anymore. Margin Call. That's a movie, though. We can't steal the name of a movie. I don't know, dude. This name's going to have to be Apu and Ned. See, that's racist. But Krishna's Indian, so that's okay. So there you go. High stock musical. You know what? We're going to call Steve and see if he agrees to that. I doubt he will, but we're going to see. Let's see. He said he had a lot of meetings today. Let's see if he picks up. Steve!
Hello?
Steve, you hear me?
I can.
I'm live right now. You there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so I'm live. I told everybody we're starting a podcast. I did not say who was the first guest that we have on the podcast, and I'm trying to crowdsource some names from people.
The first guest was me.
Yeah, the first guest was Steve, basically. It was Steve.
You guys saw the picture. I didn't even know you posted that picture on Instagram until my wife called me and said, Nick posted something on Instagram. I'm like, no, why would I know that?
See, this is why you dude, if we start marketing the show, you got to actually like be active on Instagram now. Like that's where
why would I know that? You think people think I have time to freaking look at Instagram.
Okay, I have some names for you. You need to give me your yes or no.
Let's go.
High stock musical.
No.
Not even a little? Not even?
No.
2 guys, 1 stock.
No.
I thought that was not horrible. Volatility vibes.
I don't hate that.
Ticker talk.
I don't hate that either.
I don't like this one, but someone's saying currently right now, but I don't like that one. Like, I don't think that should be the name of the podcast. Milk and dividend flow.
No.
Dentists and dairy.
No, come on. I get it. It's funny, but
look, I've been pretty honest with my thoughts as well. So if you hate it, you can go ahead.
No, we gotta do something real. This isn't a gimmick segment that we're doing. No, it's gotta be a real name.
I agree. Medium rare.
No, we could do that on a Thursday night because that's your nickname.
Breaking bread.
No, because we're not eating in the podcast.
I agree. High liquidity.
That's not horrible, but I feel like somebody's used that already.
Beyond the bell. It doesn't make sense if you don't know about me and the cowbell, and most people don't know about that. So
yeah, and you can also say that the ringing the bell at the end of the day, but no, no.
In the money.
No, because people are going to think it's about fucking options.
Yeah, people are saying theta gang, all this. It's like, but these are high beta. A lot of this is option stuff.
No. Some of the ones I sent you, I didn't hate either.
Can you rename them, or do you want me to pull it
if
up?
I wasn't driving,
Are you driving right now?
Yeah, man. I just got out of the office.
Oh wow, I called you on the right time.
And I almost put my hand through a wall today.
Okay, I will ask you about that.
You know what's bad? At 4:50, our paralegal comes by and she's in the office across from me. And she's like, "You haven't met your quota today." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "I haven't heard you curse." And I was reading a document, and then like a minute later, I fucking cursed so loud.
Dude,
You know it's bad when our paralegal says I didn't meet the quota today for cursing.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That she's saying she didn't hear you curse enough.
Oh, dude, I'm fucking. I don't know how people put up with me there in the offices next to me. Sometimes I curse so loud it's crazy. I forget people are in meetings.
Okay, full port boys.
No,
YOLO and FOMO.
no,
Retail rebels.
no, no. That wasn't horrible though.
Retail therapy.
No, because that makes it sound like it's a shopping podcast. No, seriously, that makes it sound like you're gonna watch a show with two women talking about shopping.
Margin, call me maybe.
No, this is not a Carly Rae Jepsen song.
You know Carly Rae Jepsen?
I mean, that was a whole freaking movement for like 2 years. It's hard to know hard not to know who she is.
Okay, these were Steve's picks. Let me tell them to the audience. Investors Inner Circle, The Bullish Blueprint, Ticker Tape Tribe, Market Momentum Masters, Bullish Energy.
I don't hate those.
I hated all those.
I know you did. That's why we didn't even talk about it. You said you hated them, so I said okay.
This is hard, bro. This is genuinely like I've never had. I mean, it's been a while since I've had to think of a name, but make it this good and like make it apply to us in a meaningful way. Like I really am stuck on this.
I mean, we'll talk about it later in the week and we'll figure it out. We got some time, but you know, today
was fun. Today was fun.
Well, it was a lot of fun. You and I had a great conversation, and we piggybacked off of what I was talking about last night. And just like I said, I don't fucking care because one down day in the market does not define a strategy or a movement.
Oh yeah, I didn't even ask you. You saw the taco, right?
I saw that the market was up quite a bit today, is what I saw.
Trump said he's not going to put the tariffs on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, you know, once again, it's all strategic and the markets move too quick because of access to information. And once again, this was nothing to worry about. People are freaking out over a 2% down day. Nothing to freak out about.
Dude, Steve, I got it. I have the name.
Okay.
Vanilla and Spice.
No. What are we doing, a cooking show?
No, because Spice, Indian, vanilla, white. Okay, anyway. Chatting the bull with a mitten, Steve. No, we can't.
No.
This is hard, bro. It's not easy.
It's not easy. We're going to have to really think about it and come up with something. I mean, good thing we have a week to do it or so.
So what do you think about the guest today? How did you enjoy the
I
show?
mean, I happen to like myself, so, you know, I think it went pretty well.
No, actually, bro, I was telling them, like, it was a really good guest. Like,
yeah, I know it was me.
Okay, well, besides you.
All right, so we're actually going to say that we had a guest?
Yeah, no, I said we had a guest already. Just don't say who it is, but.
Yeah, obviously.
He was legit.
Listen.
Like we both thought he would be legit. We both thought he would be legit, but he was more than legit.
You're narrowing the possibilities of who it is because you are saying he.
Yeah, it's a guy. Okay, I said it's a guy. That's like there's a lot of guys in finance.
Okay, it was a great show. Everybody had a blast from the second we started rolling. And I don't think you thought the opening was going to go that way.
No, the opening was great.
It was phenomenal. It could not have been more organic. And it was a great show, and I'm very excited for it to come out.
And I think if we can keep, I think a podcast only grows based on the guests. Like at the end of the day, you have to have a name associated with the podcast. Like you can't just grow by being two guys talking. You need other people. And so if we can keep getting really big names, that's why the name is so important for the overall show.
I agree. Because then people want to come on it.
Dude, would you ever have Joseph Carlson on the show?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I have no issue with him. I would like to have an intelligent conversation with him. He refuses to do it. I just think it's bullshit that instead of engaging in an intelligent conversation, when I stayed up specifically to have that conversation, and I write him a 1,200 word or 1,500 word response, he asked me 4 questions and I respond to each one of them. And then he blocks me because he thinks I'm freaking engagement farming. I didn't even know what that meant until Tanner had to tell me what it meant. I mean, and I think he thought I was being like sarcastic because I started the second response was, this is as good as you're going to get from me at midnight on a Wednesday. But that's how I am. Like, I'm going to write you a 1,000-word response. No problem. Like,
I think he's a really good guy. He just probably was annoyed.
I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is. I think he truly thought I was trolling him when I was trying to have a conversation with him based off of his and your conversation.
Gains of New York?
No. Sounds like a weightlifting fucking show.
Oh my God. Yapping with bulls. We can't have bulls or bears in the name. It's like some episodes might be bearish. Like you can't just,
No, and it can't just, it has to have a business and stock market theme. It has to be all encompassing.
Are we buying this Netflix dip or no?
So I was talking about this last night, and I am planning on shooting a video that I'm going to put out tomorrow morning. It's going to be one of the few things I actually pre-record. I'm going to try and do it before I go live later. I don't like Netflix here. I know a lot of people do. I don't like it here. As a shareholder of Warner Brothers Discovery, I want Paramount because it puts $2.50 extra in my pocket. I think that Netflix is going to have a very hard time getting this deal done. And I think the people who believe it's a slam dunk are crazy. And just because Trump bought Netflix bonds in an aggregate of 1,000 different bonds or 100 different bonds, whatever it was, that's not a reason to look too deep into this. The reality is that they have over 325 million subscribers. And when you add Warner Brothers Discovery, that boosts them to around 450 million plus, which is more than double Prime, which is the #2 platform. I don't think this gets done from the FTC. And there's an ironclad $5.8 billion breakup thing if they can't get it done. I don't like it.
I think
Paramount's coming in with a tender offer tomorrow, 30 a share, enforcing a vote.
I think they'll get the deal done. I just think paying 37 times earnings for that. I mean, in 5 years it'll be fine, but in 2
it all
years,
depends on the time horizon. If you say, Steve, 5 or 10 years, my response would be, yeah, I think they're going to be a bigger company and a better share price than they are now 5 or 10 years from now. And if you're saying that you're going to keep dry powder on the side, so if it slides another 10, 15%, you're going to dollar cost average, yeah, I think you'll do well. I just think there's easier ways to make money right now.
Market Midtown. Do we want to brand it as a New York show? Like, I don't.
No, we don't want to brand it as a New York show, and it sounds like you're going to freaking the Seaport Market or something. Like, no.
Yo, do you so you saw me today, right?
Yeah.
You saw what I looked like.
You don't want to know what people said.
No, everyone's in the chat saying I look like a UPS driver.
Listen, you and I have to go shopping. That's all I have to say.
Did I actually look like a UPS driver today? Like,
no, you didn't look like a UPS driver, but you looked like you're dressing in high school.
Dude, at least I didn't freaking wear a hoodie. I did.
Well,
I had some decent shoes.
And I
Like,
don't hate it. Like, listen, it's authentic. It's you. I don't think it freaking matters. But I mean, you know.
no, I definitely need a new wardrobe. 100%. I need a new style. I need.
I do think you need to go shopping.
I agree with you.
So we can set that up at some point.
Do you like the open exchange?
Not really.
Like, see, All In. Like, that's a that what I'm talking about is a name that hits like that.
Yeah, but they have a great backstory for it because they all play poker together, and whatever they do, they potentially go all in. Like they don't do anything half-assed. So the name fits perfectly.
But even if you didn't know they were billionaires and they played poker, like just the concept of all in, right? It's one of those iconic phrases of like, I'm going
It's
all
universally
in.
known.
It's like
known.
That's what we're looking for. Retail investing roundtable, like that's not it.
No, no, it's too long.
The after hours.
No. Because that sounds like it's a freaking club.
Yeah, we got to figure this out, dude. Anyway, looks like this Greenland thing is not going to be an issue.
Which is big.
It's kind of crazy how quick.
Be an issue.
But this one, did you expect a 5-day pivot? I thought it would be at least a week or two.
Listen, I said that I did not know how long it was going to be. And I said the big thing is going to be whatever he announces today. It could take a week. It could take longer. But eventually it's going to flip. And I specifically said last night, you can go to the stream and play it back. This changes nothing from what the company's already solidified for their Q4 earnings.
Yeah.
This changes nothing. And likely it changes nothing for what they are going to guide for Q1 and 2026. So why should we get worried when Lutnick is out there talking about 5% plus GDP growth? You have a rate environment that's going to come down. You have growth that is happening. There's no reason to expect the markets to not end higher this year. Are we going to have volatility? Absolutely. But this is a nothing burger. This would have been Liberation Day all over again if he kept it up, which ended up doing pretty fucking good for a lot of people.
Yeah, the NATO secretary said the Greenland deal is far from done. He says significant work remains before we have any framework of a deal. Obviously, Trump is like framing it as a win, but there's a lot of questions around like what exactly does a framework of a deal look like. New York Times is reporting that the U.S. will actually get some parts of land of Greenland, which, I mean, that would be a big deal if Trump ends up getting that, but we don't officially know what's happening. But we know there's no tariffs.
Know until it's done. And as long as there's no tariffs, that is a big thing because now the headline news and the potential for input prices to go up changes significantly.
Yeah, agreed.
And that was the big thing. That was the big risk because people were worried that was going to compress earnings. That's not happening now.
All right. Linking Steve's YouTube in the chat. You guys can follow. You're going live tonight, right?
Yeah, we're going live at 8. I may go live beforehand to talk about just time in the market because people were freaking out last night. And there was at least 5 people that were saying that they needed me to talk them off a ledge yesterday.
Really?
And I hate that. Yes.
Like legit need to be talked off a ledge because of 2% down on the S&P.
Yes. Yes. And I can't stand that because even during Liberation Day, when a lot of people were freaking out, I kept saying, there's nothing to worry about. This is going to pass. And I think that's because, and that's why I asked the question today about leverage. I think a lot of people are on leverage. I think a lot of people are investing with money they can't afford to lose. And they are trying to hit a home run every time. And they are not positioned for downturns. And it scares the shit out of me because I do think that's why algos get a hold of it and people become forced sellers because they get stopped out or they get margin calls. And I think it happens too often. And while I have no data to prove that, it is just a sentiment based on how many people that I see in comments on your videos and other videos and things I watch talk about using margin and using leverage.
Someone says can't afford to lose as the name. I don't love the name, but I'm liking I'm liking the concept around. I don't like the name.
Concept's great, but I don't like the name.
I don't like the name, but I like the like that. That's what I'm looking for. Those types of names. Can't afford to lose, or like what it implies. But I don't like the longness of the name and the actual framing of it. By the way, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman has been meeting with top investors in the Middle East to raise $50 billion.
Yeah, we'll see what happens because Elon sued them.
Yeah, I mean, dude, if Elon wins the lawsuit, it's becoming more apparent to me Anthropic's the winner here over OpenAI. But hopefully all of them win.
Yeah, listen, we're going to have to see what happens. I think what you should do is, if only we could create, we should create an email, have everybody send in what they think the name should be, so we can go.
What do we name the email?
Just make a fucking Gmail account.
Oh my gosh.
AmitandSteve.com. I don't fucking know. AmitandSteve@gmail.com.
Or just DM us on X if you have. Email amit@akcoms.com. I have that email. But if you have a really good name, just DM us and maybe we can see.
Yeah, because we've tried all the different AI services, can't come up with anything. It's not easy to come up with a name for it.
Yeah. All right, Steve. I'll talk to you later. His YouTube is in the chat, and he'll be live tonight.
Yep, be live tonight. See everybody later. And tomorrow, I got a good topic for you and I to discuss.
You want to tease it right now?
Well, I want to really discuss S&P and the idea of not being worried about buying into strength and not being afraid to buy when it is falling. I really want to beat that drum because it is so important.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you, Steve. I will talk to you later tonight.
Yep, later.
Later. Yeah, guys, this name, bro, this freaking name. This name is not easy. VG's up. Is it up after hours? Oh, up 4%. Did the lawsuit get resolved? Bro, I'm already getting AI images of me dressed as a UPS driver. VG 2.87% up. Oh man. Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Gonna have to figure out this freaking name. Now there's pressure to find a good name too, because we've rejected so many names. Oh, we have to have a good one. Even today on the show, when I was introducing the guest, I couldn't say welcome to the XYZ podcast. I had to be like, welcome to a new podcast. It's like, because I don't have a name for it. They won the arbitration case, did they? I didn't think that would be resolved this quickly. Yeah, wow. Venture Global wins arbitration case from Spain. There you go. That's the headline. There it is. There's your move. VG. It was up 6. Someone probably knew this morning. 6% this morning. Derek's probably happy. Derek's probably happy on this one. VG, look at that. 9:38 after hours, 3.65%. As that one continues going higher. All right, guys. I think that's it. I think that is it. The long game, I don't know if I love that. Artistic Alpha, I don't know. The Index podcast, because you discuss everything. I don't know if index is the best word for that. I don't know. We're going to figure this out. Oh, there's that other. There it is, 949. Look at that spike, baby. 949. I mean, she's been below $10 for a minute now. 959. It's moving. It's moving. Some decent pieces of news throughout the entire day across the market, helping all these sectors pump up. After hours doesn't make sense. Like, why would we call the show After Hours? And no one even knows what the after hours means unless you're in the stock market. But even then, it's like, why would a show be called After Hours? Like the word Phoenix, the word Matrix, these are really cool names. I'm looking for something like that. I'm looking for like a cool ass name that we could tie into this, or a phrase. I just don't know yet. We'll figure it out. All right, so I think that's it. We'll have the daily recap in a little bit. I'm interviewing someone at 7 p.m. They are from Robinhood. It will not be live. It'll be posted probably like next week, maybe even later this week on Saturday. So that should be a fun podcast. It's not Vladdy. It's someone else who is pretty high up in the company. I interviewed the CFO last month. This person I've known basically for a year. And so it'll be fun to do a podcast with them. I know Robinhood stock has not been the best this year. I kind of felt like it wouldn't be the best in December as crypto was dying out. It's one of those things where you have to trust the long-term vision here, but the short-term gains might not be as easy as it was last year. And so with this one, I think it's a little bit more in a consolidation phase. Again, the winners this year have been space, energy, nuclear, drones. The drone stocks have just gone crazy. VG now up 5% after hours. Mega caps have not been doing the best. Small caps have been crushing it. Once again, it's been Intel, Amcor, American onshoring. It's been a stock picker's market. It's been a stock picker's market, and it probably will continue to be as we head into the earnings cycle. Conviction is a cool word. Conviction is a cool word. That is a pretty cool word. Maybe there's a way to frame something with that. All right, I think that's it. Your stock market UPS driver is officially signing off. I can't believe, dude, within less than 30 seconds of going live, I think one person commented and it spread like wildfire about UPS. It's kind of crazy that that's how it happened, but that's what we got now. So I'll be back tomorrow. Market tomorrow's Friday. No, tomorrow's Thursday. We have Intel after the bell. We'll have a daily recap in a little bit, and then yeah, that should be it for today. And then we'll be back tomorrow. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Again, sorry I missed the show this morning. I think you guys will enjoy the reason for why. We'll be back tomorrow in the market open. We will see how the market officially reacts after a full 24 hours of this Greenland news being baked in. And we will see not only how the market reacts, but also how the credit markets potentially try to price in maybe less volatility now that this geopolitical headline might not be as big of a deal. All right. That's it. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the market open. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.